IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy actionable habits. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today in the hot seat we have Tushar, and he's asked us a fantastic question. He says this: there are certain situations in life during which you just feel helpless. It may be something related to work where you think you're going to get fired, or an exam that you didn't get through and don't know what to do next, or a relationship where you love someone but it just doesn't go according to how you would have wanted it to. What do you do when you just get that empty feeling of restlessness, that nothing is going according to your wish for them, and just be there in that fear and that anxiety? I think this is such an important point. There are 2-3 critical aspects to the way that he's phrased this and the question that he has in mind. So the first is wishing and wanting for other things that are not in your control to change. As we go through life, we are constantly expecting things from others, and we are expecting things from the world, and we are expecting things that life should be giving us. And when they don't happen, we go through 2 feelings. We go through the feeling of unfairness, and we go through the feeling of frustration. As soon as you understand this, you will know that as soon as you get expectations, you will lead to this. How many times do people actually go according to your plan and the expectations you have for them? 10% of the time? 20% of the time? Chalo, I'll give you 30% of the time. It's never 100% of the time. That means every time you have expectations, every time you have this expectation mindset, you're creating 70% a chance of dissatisfaction. What do I mean by dissatisfaction? The feeling of frustration, because you're trying and trying and trying to make a change, but it's not happening, right? The feeling of unfairness. I did this for you, but you could not do it for me. Unfairness. I expected you to do this for me. Unfairness, right? So expectations is one of the starting points of everything. The second way of approaching this is not to have expectations, but to have goals. And these two are very, very different things. I expect my boss to give me a raise is different from I have a goal to get a raise and to earn a salary of this much. An expectation is hoping that someone does something for you. An expectation is hoping that things will change. A goal is making sure they change. The difference here is that when you set a goal for yourself, what you're doing is you're actually giving yourself the authority. You're saying, these are the things that I can take care of. These are the things that I have control over, and I'm going to do them. Then what happens. Fair enough. But very often we don't go through that stage. We expect from others to change. Instead, taking radical ownership, and I think we've done a podcast on radical ownership, taking ownership, saying that everything is my fault. Everything is under my control. And as soon as you do that, you will see a dramatic change in the way that your life functions, because now you believe you're in control of things. As soon as you believe that you're not in control of things, you cannot live that life. You cannot have that expectation. So this is one very, very important aspect. The next thing he mentioned right at the end is the fear and anxiety. You wanted these things. They haven't happened. Why is there fear and anxiety? Understand that fear and anxiety is always about things that are in the future, never about things that are in the present. So whenever you're experiencing fear and anxiety, it is always stuff that is about to happen in the future. What you have to learn is you have to learn to get your mind back into this present moment, saying, what are the decisions I can take now for that to take place? What are the things that are in my control now so that I have a better future without the fear and the anxiety? See, there's one fundamental truth, that most stress has nothing to do with what is happening to you. All stress has only to do with what is your reaction to the outside world. All stress is about things that are in your control that you have not acted upon. If there were things that were outside your control, there's no stress. If an asteroid is going to come and hit the earth, there's no stress. You're going to die. Everyone's going to die. No stress. But if there was something that you could have done to avoid it and you didn't do it, stress, right? Why is there so much stress before an exam? Let's look at the examples Tushar gave, right? An exam that you didn't get through. What was the stress leading up to the exam? The fear and the anxiety leading up to the exam. maybe I did not study hard enough. The studying was in my control. I could have done something about it, but I did not do enough of it. Which is why always give your 100% to things like this, so that you never feel that if only I had done this, this would have happened. When you're at work and you're hoping for a raise and a raise doesn't happen, or you get fired, what was the thing that was out of your control? Nothing. What was in your control? The ability to upskill. Did you learn new things? Were you growing in your job? If you weren't doing any of that, were you adding value to the organization? Were you increasing the value that you were adding to the organization? All those things are in your control. You can say that I have a bad boss, but at the end of the day, all these things are in your control. And if you learn that you can take control of these things and grow the amount of control that you have in your life, the better it is going to be. Fear and anxiety in the toilet, it's going to be in the dustbin. You're going to throw it away out of your life. And you're going to be so much more clear about what you can do. Helplessness out the window, never going to feel it. And the most important thing is you're never going to feel frustrated and feel that life is unfair and why is this happening to me? Tushar, lovely question. I appreciated it. Thank you so much for sending it in. And if you want to be on the hot seat, tell me what's happening in your life. How can I do this? How can I serve you better? The reason why I started the hot seat episodes are I can give you gyan in the form of the other podcasts that are there. But I wanted to give you a sense of what being coached feels like. And very often there's so much that we can learn from each other, right? So putting you in the hot seat is a great way for others to learn from you, to you learn from others as well. So please, please, please keep sending in your questions in the hot seat. I'm going to link the questionnaire in the podcast below. Search for the link. If you can't find the link, follow me on Instagram. I will be putting it up in my stories as a swipe up link. So come, join, have a chance to come on the Habit Coach podcast. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Seat, Cred, and Global Victoria. We thank you so much for making all of this possible. So this week on Cyrus Says, Tapsi Pannu was recently featured in the Netflix original Haseen Dilruba was on. They discussed her experiences in Bollywood and a whole lot more. On Begin the Journey, Ashish Vidyarthi enlightens us with his wisdom on how one can get freedom from their own thoughts or insecurities when they communicate with others. On The Millennial Athlete, Tanvi and Shlok fill us in on all the drama from the world of sports with Wimbledon, Euros, and World Test cricket making headlines every day. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav Momoria kicks off a new series, Beneath the Veneer. We travel to the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, where he takes us through his first experience of encountering the Red Sea. We have a brand new show, Misconduct. It's a true crime show hosted by Raghvi, a lawyer, and Nisha, a PR pro. They tell us about the story of Cyanide Malika, the lady who offered cyanide-laden sweets to women and after they die, loot their gold. On the Global Victoria Tech Talks podcast, we showcase some compelling new tech stories coming out of Melbourne. On one episode, Pawan Srinath speaks to Joe Agan from Nelnet International, where they discuss how the pandemic has affected the edtech sector and its evolution. Another episode has Varun Dugirala talking to Ross Simons from Big Ant Studios about the gaming ecosystem and how they envision translating a sport to a game. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Hi, I'm Zarina Poonawalla, host of the Empowering Series podcast on the IVM network. I happen to be a peak performance coach and leadership coach by profession, and I'm here to share with you productivity tools, life-altering techniques, and real-life hacks to help you achieve your maximum potential in everything you do, your relationships, professions, careers. So tune in every Monday to unleash your inner power. Be safe, be well, be empowered.